Hello, everybody, and welcome to Bayou Bets for a Monday, March the 21st. And I am Jim Derry, along with Spencer the Guru Urquhart. And Zach Ewing is back from his trip from Europe, and he will be back on with us on Thursday. I'm sure he's got a lot of jet lag going on. Just another Monday afternoon, Spencer. No news going on whatsoever. Man, it seems like every time we come on, something crazy. Yep, we have more news. More news this afternoon. Two big pieces of news here around South Louisiana. Number one for us, obviously, is Jameis Winston signing a 2-year deal to remain the quarterback of the New Orleans Saints, and we'll get to that in just a moment. And then later on in the show, we'll talk about potentially Will Wade's replacement being named. ESPN is reporting that Pat McMahon, the coach of Murray State, who led the Racers to a big tournament performance, and he is supposedly headed to LSU, probably best known for coaching Ja Morant. We'll talk about that in a little bit as well. But first, the news of Jameis Winston and Spencer. I don't think there was any surprise here. Once the Saints did not get Deshaun Watson, Jameis Winston was clearly the number 2 choice.
Right. Yeah, most definitely. It was just down to Jameis, and it was, if you don't get Jameis, well, you're kind of in panic mode, because then you're trying to look to the trade market, and you don't want to give up draft capital for a placeholder quarterback like Baker Mayfield or Jimmy Garoppolo. So yeah, Jameis had to get re-signed. Glad they worked the deal out. Solid value, 2 years, $28 million. I thought that was fair, and I agree with who was in the chat there, Purple, about they had no other choice. I mean, that's kind of where it was at. They tried to get Deshaun, swung and missed there, so they had to pivot to Jameis, because they definitely couldn't turn to Matt Ryan. That's for sure. He got moved today, so glad Jameis is back.
Lisa Funderburg, I'm not sure what you're saying here. That's too bad about Winston. Thought we could have a chance this year. I don't get the hate on Jameis Winston. I just don't. Who else would you possibly suggest the Saints get a quarterback? They try to get Deshaun Watson, and there is zero, whatever you want to talk about, that Winston wasn't the clear number 2. There is nobody that was left over that the Saints had a chance to get that is better than Jameis Winston. Zero. All you Taysom lovers out there, get it out of your head. Taysom Hill is never going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. He's never going to be a starting quarterback for the Saints unless Jameis gets hurt. And even then, you got to think the Saints are probably going to go find a decent number 2. I doubt it's going to be Simeon again. They're either going to draft someone, try to work with Ian Book, which, gosh, I don't know. I hate to put too much on one start, but I do not get the Jameis Winston hate. He was in his 7 games, was in the top 5 in plenty of categories. This one, okay. I got to show this one too. Marcus Talley would have loved to give Colin a shot. I am assuming you're talking about Colin Kaepernick, and that is a big fat no. The guy's been out of the league for how many years now? To do what?
It's been a while. I mean, you could bring him in for a workout, but
Colin Kaepernick is not a starter. I mean, he's never going to be a starter again. It has and I'm just going to throw this out there. It has nothing to do with politics. You can think that it does all you want. He wasn't that great of a quarterback when he was in the league, and he's not a good quarterback now that he's been out of the league for 3 or 4 years. So that is not going to happen. All right, here's another one for you. T. Hawkington. Winston is a good quarterback. He was doing great before the injury. People just hate on the guy for no reason. I don't want to have another year like last season. I don't think anyone does, T. I mean, I think Jameis Winston, I got to say, before the season started, I was not sold on Jameis Winston. But the way the guy improved, and obviously the effect that Sean Payton had on him. Now, I get that Sean Payton is not here anymore. But I think the growth that he showed in just those 7 games, Spencer, leads me to believe that he can be a top 10-ish type quarterback.
Ooh, top 10. Yeah, I hope. He's got that ceiling for sure. I don't know if he'll quite reach it this year, because his touchdowns to interception rate was exceptional, but also unsustainable, I feel like, because if he would be at that clip, shoot, he'd be right up there with Aaron Rodgers, and I don't see that happening. But he doesn't have to be perfect, because the
Correct.
Saints
He
are a
doesn't have to be Aaron
defense.
Rodgers.
Right. Yeah. The defense is that's the identity of this Saints team under Dennis Allen. It's a defense first team, made that clear in the second half of last season. And I would have made the playoffs if they had just had any sort of quarterback play. And I was one of those Taysom Hill truthers, but after seeing last year's results, I have to come to the realization that no, he's not the guy. I mean, he's just too limited as a passer. So turn the page there and realize now it's you got to have somebody that can throw the ball at a high level, and Jameis can do that. He's a strong passer. He does throw a few of those like screw it kind of balls, or he throws it up, but he cut down on those a bunch last year.
He did after the first few games. He stopped doing that, and I was very impressed with him after the first few games. And he seemed to really kind of get what he was supposed to do. And I think now that Sean Payton is gone, I think you'll see him even let loose even more. Okay, I'm going to show you comment again. Interceptions, dropping back 20 yards, then sacks, scared to run the ball. I can go on and on. I'm not sure what you must have went and rewatched the first like 2 games of the season from last year, because by the time he got to the Tampa game, those last 4 games he played before he got hurt, different quarterback. Interceptions, how many did he throw last year?
Only 3. I think it was 14 to 3 touchdowns to picks ratio. And in the first game he was really good. And the only bad game he had, I believe, was that second week against Carolina, where we were missing half the coaching staff and the whole team laid an egg.
Correct. And I mean, you can go back and take stats from the Tampa Bay, his last season at Tampa Bay. Yeah, he threw 30 interceptions. He had a horrible coaching staff. This is a completely different coaching staff that he's playing with. And he has earned the right. I mean, there is zero question. You watched every game. She says he watched every game. You're a hater. Okay, Lisa, we love you. We thank you for watching the show, but you're a hater. If you want to be a hater, go ahead. I tell you what, don't find another team to watch, because Jameis Winston, barring injury, is going to be the starting quarterback of this team for the next few years, and potentially much longer than that. Because if he does well over the next 2 years, they're going to sign him to a longer-term contract. In fact, I'd be willing to bet, Spencer, that if Jameis has a really good season next year, which I think he could, they'll sign him to an extension at some point, either next year or in the next offseason.
Yeah, before he would hit free agency. I just have to see how he does. I think it comes down to improvement. If he can continue to grow and continue to show signs of growth, then yeah, he'll be worthy of that for sure. I just hope he can keep it going, because he has had his issues in the past. But I mean, from what we saw last year, I know it was only half a season, but it looked really promising. And I like his mentality. He seems to have a good attitude. He's matured a lot from when he was younger, and with Tampa Bay kind of being the eat the W, all that goofy stuff.
I don't care that he does that. Hey, man, get fired up. It's all good. T says he had no idea what Lisa was looking at. He shakes his head.
Now it's the workout videos. Everyone clowns him about the workout videos, but
it's like, fun.
Hey, if he's getting results out of it, whatever. Who cares if it's a little unconventional? What are you expecting to be all like serious? Like, if he's doing a little, I mean, if that's what works for him, then cool. Like, I'm okay with it.
All right. Well, that leads me into what we talked a lot about last week, and I, judging by the reception we got on a post we put up about Deshaun Watson and where the Saints' odds were after when the Vegas people thought that the Saints were getting Deshaun Watson, their odds changed from 50-1 to 18-1. Hold on, but real quick, Patrick, before we put the graphic up, Eddie Garcia says, we believe in Winston, especially with him having Michael Thomas back, and now get him Jarvis Landry. I don't know that they're going to be able to get Jarvis Landry, but maybe. I mean, it's possible. I think they will certainly get a wide receiver in free agency. That could change the dynamic of this team as well. And it's going to be interesting what happens at left tackle. Teron Armstead, obviously, on the ropes, whether he is in or out. We're going to talk all about that this whole week here at Bayou Bets today. Talking a little bit about it. I'm sure we'll be talking plenty about it on Odds and Ends coming up. I'm sorry, not Odds and Ends. We don't do that anymore. At the book, I get my shows mixed up. Then Datitude on Friday. There'll be plenty of Saints talk all week long as we get closer and closer to the draft. And as free agency keeps on ramping up, Matt Ryan today traded to the Indianapolis Colts. If you did not see that, I don't know what the Colts deal is with retreads. It hasn't worked for them so far, but they're kind of limited as well. It'll be interesting to see, Spencer, where Baker Mayfield goes and where Jimmy Garoppolo goes, because really those are the only two guys left. Both of those guys are going to have to be involved in a trade. Marcus Mariota today signed by the Falcons. Good luck, Atlanta, with that. I've made it clear what I think about Matt Ryan. I think he's a choke artist. I get a lot of respect for him the way he handled the whole situation last week, but Matt Ryan is better than Marcus Mariota. I mean,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, Mario, it's clear that it's good. It's a hard reset there in Atlanta. They're just completely starting from scratch, and Mariota's he's gonna be the fall guy, and then they'll draft somebody either this year or next. Probably this year. They'll probably crack and take like Malik Willis or something this year, and yeah, good luck. They'll need it. But,
yeah.
Because I mean, it's good news for Saints fans. I feel like though, because the way they're doing over there, it's like they're gonna be down for a while. So hey.
Well, we appreciate all the comments from everyone. We'll try to show them all. Willette says, looking forward to seeing him as a starter. He will do great. Speaking of Jameis Winston, I'm assuming. And you know what? I do too. And here's the thing. If you're a Saints fan, and I've said this for years, whether you agree or don't agree with what the team decides to do and the moves that they make, I was not sold on Jameis Winston going into last year. But you got to go in thinking that this is the right choice or have confidence in your team's decisions, because if you don't, I'm not sure why you're watching. And I've been a hater before about different players, but I also go into the season saying, okay, you know what? Prove me wrong. I'm going to go in. If you're a Saints fan, you're hoping your team wins. You watch them, and again, you hope you're wrong later on. Okay, back to the odds in the Super Bowl. Again, we talked about it last week, how they flip-flop back and forth. Some interesting moves over the past couple days, and especially, all right, Buffalo Bills, their odds have dropped. I'm not sure why they went from 750 to 700. Maybe somebody put a big bet on them. Interesting move now that the Saints didn't get Jameis Winston. Deshaun Watson, that he went to the AFC. Obviously, this plays a factor, but Tampa Bay, you could have had him at 28-1 before Tom Brady decided to come back. That was just a little over a week ago. They went from 28-1 to 10-1. And now they're 8.5-1 up there with the Buccaneers. That is an insane price for me, Spencer. We'll get to the other ones in a minute, but just those top three right there, I just think that's crazy. 8.5-1.
Yeah. Everyone there going all in with Tampa Bay. Theirs probably dropped a little bit because I'm surprised Green Bay's didn't go up, because Devontae Adams getting traded, I feel like hurts them. I'm surprised they stayed at 1,100, and Tampa Bay there at 8.5. That may have been why they dropped, because I don't see why else they would have, because there's nothing really that it would have. Oh, I know why, because Watson didn't come to the NFC South. That explains it. I mean, I wouldn't pay that price, but now I get why it changed. That's why.
We're going to talk about the NFC South in a moment, but I do want to. The three interesting ones to me are at the bottom, and the Cleveland Browns. This goes to show you how a quarterback will change odds. Now, in all reality, do we think the Cleveland Browns are twice as good now that they've got Deshaun Watson over Baker Mayfield? I'm no Baker Mayfield fan at all, but this just goes to show you this is a reaction to what they think the public is going to do, not so much what they think as far as, and how you got to be careful. You're not getting a ton of value with a lot of these futures bets. They love to skew. You don't know what the VIG is, and when I say VIG, I mean the implied price that they're charging you to bet on a team. In other words, like a normal game line, if it's minus 110, it means you got to bet $110 to win 100. Or a normal game line, if the Saints are a 3-point favorite over the Falcons, you got to bet $110 to win 100 if you're betting the Saints or the Falcons, which means that 55% of the time you got to be right just to break even. So, but when you're looking at odds like this, you don't know what the implied price is on there. So they may think Cleveland's really 30-1, where they're charging you a huge price to bet on them. They dropped from 40-1 to 18-1. The Saints, conversely, when they thought they were getting Deshaun Watson, they had dropped as far as 18-1. They're back to where they were before any of these rumors started at 50-1. So right now you can place a $10 bet on the Saints to win the Super Bowl through Caesar Sportsbook, which, by the way, is the official odds partner of bet.noah.com. And if the Saints win the Super Bowl for a $10 bet, Spencer, you could win $500.
Hey, that's a nice value, I'd say. I don't know why the Deshaun Watson thing is made the odds go this crazy, because there's still a good chance he gets suspended for over half the season. So with that factored in, I don't get it. I don't know why the odds are. But I know it's because of the public, but still, hey, it's just I feel like he'd be an idiot to do that, because it's like, I mean, even if you feel like Deshaun Watson's gonna be the savior of the Browns, it's like if he misses half the season, by the time he would come back, they could be in a big hole. It's a tough division. I mean, that's a huge suckers bet there, 18-1. I would stay far away from that. The Saints, though, at 50-1, yeah, give me some of that. I might go after the show. I might have to go throw 10 on that. That's
I
nice.
just looked. They are still 50-1. So the news of Jameis Winston did not change the odds at all. So again, I don't understand why Deshaun Watson would cut your odds in half, but a Jameis Winston would keep you at 50-1. I tell you what, I don't think the Saints are going to win the Super Bowl, but I think they're certainly a playoff team. We're going to get an AFC South odds in just a moment. And I think 50-1, the Saints might be one of the best bargains on the board. I mean, again, you play the season 50 times. I think the Saints win the Super Bowl at least once. I honestly do. I mean, obviously you can't play a season 50 times unless you're doing it on Madden, but hey, 50-1, why not? Leads me to the odds to win in the NFC South. Another bargain possibility, I think. To me, there's only two teams that can win this division. Atlanta and Carolina are going to be awful next year. I mean, they're going to be flat out awful. Marcus Mariota as your Falcons quarterback with basically no receivers in the mix. I just don't see how they're any good. Carolina at 12-1. No, I'm not putting any money on Carolina. I don't think they're going to be any good either. So it leads you to, do you want to bet $240 to win 100 on Tampa Bay? That is a fool's bet. Which leads me to, if you're going to make a bet on this, the only team you could possibly bet on this, Spencer, are the Saints at 4-1. You put down a $100 bet on the Saints to win the NFC South. If they win the NFC South, you win $400. We've already shown that Dennis Allen has Tom Brady's number. And they're not going to be a better team next year. I think they'll be about as good as they were last year. They're a playoff team. They win the NFC South? Probably, but I don't think they're going to win it. I don't think they're going to win it 3 times out of 4, which is basically what I'm the Saints 1 out of 4. They're going to win the division at least 1 out of 4 times.
Yeah, I would think so, because with Dennis Allen, like having Tom Brady's number, if it's close and they can be in and sweep the division, if they're tied, the Saints win. If they would win the tiebreaker if they can beat them twice in the divisional games, which they did last year. Just for a couple games behind them in the regular season standing, so didn't get it. But yeah, I think they could definitely do it there. I just those Tampa Bay odds are just. I mean, I understand why they're the heavy favorite, but I wouldn't touch it. And as far as Carolina and Atlanta, I don't think either one have a chance, but I would much rather, if I had to pick one, I'd much rather Carolina than Atlanta. I'm not sure why Carolina's that much lower than Atlanta. To me, Carolina's got a little more hope than Atlanta, considering Atlanta has absolutely no weapons and a worse defense.
Yeah, I'm not putting money on either one of those, but feel free. I'm guessing Lisa's going to bet on Tampa Bay. I don't know. I'm just messing. By the way, Lisa Funderburg, I didn't say you don't know anything about football. It has nothing about that. I just said you're a hater. There's a difference. You could be a hater and still be you could be a connoisseur of football and know more than I'll ever know. That's a possibility. Just because, but there are a lot of people out there, and this is why Vegas makes money. People bet things with their hearts. they bet things because, you know, there are certain players they don't like. There are certain teams they don't like. I mean, how many people do you know, Spencer, that they're never going to bet on if the Falcons are playing the Saints and the Saints are 16-point favorites? And I know this because I have, D Squared comes on my show every Friday during football season, and there is no way he would ever take. You could make the Saints a 40-point favorite over the Falcons, and he's going to take the Saints. And people bet that way too. It just is what it is.
Yeah, it's in the sports books know that people have their natural biases, and that's just the way it is. And people stand on that. They plant their flag on it. It's not like the sports books don't force you to go which way, but that's just, when emotions get involved, rash decisions can result.
That doesn't mean, and at least has probably turned us off by now. I hope you're still watching. We love you, but get rid of that hate. Jameis Winston's going to be just fine. All right. We only have about 15 minutes left in the show, so I want to move on a little bit, and I want to talk about LSU basketball for just a couple of minutes. And in case you didn't hear earlier today, ESPN has a report out that LSU is expected to hire Murray State's Matt McMahon as the successor to Will Wade. An interesting hire if this is the case. I think, Spencer, that when you start thinking about who LSU might be able to get, I think this is probably a great hire for these guys, and because of the potential sanctions that are coming up, we don't know how long LSU is going to be out of any. They're going to be put on probation of some sort. Whether that keeps them from going to the tournament for 1 or 2 years, maybe even 3, this program is going to face some sort of sanctions. And to get a coach of that notch, a coach who recruited and got Ja Morant to come to Murray State, it's going to be tough because we're going to see how many players enter the transfer portal and what kind of LSU team we're looking at. But I think this is an excellent hire for the Tigers.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not too familiar with who is out there, but from what his resume shows, he's qualified for sure. He's done a lot with a little at Murray State. Murray State, not a huge program, but they always play above their projection. They only lost 3 games all year this year. And so, I like it. I think he'll slide in quite well. Got to give Scott Woodward credit. He's the AD. He's made a lot of good hires. Kim Mulkey, Jay Johnson, Brian Kelly. Now, Murray State's his name slipped, Double M. Like his name is slipping my mind.
Here's one of the
be good.
One of the stats that here's something that'll grab your attention real quick. He's only 43 years old. He has won just under 70% of his games at Murray State, going 154-67 in 7 seasons there. Reached the NCAA tournament 3 times in the past 5 seasons. That is quite an accomplishment for a small school like Murray State to do that. And again, this year a 7 seed. Of course, they were upset by St. Peter's. That's the same team that beat Kentucky. So
freaking St. Peter's, man.
St. Peter's is ruining a lot of brackets.
Oh,
speaking of
brackets,
brackets,
I had Murray State, my upset special, get to the Sweet 16, but nope, St. Peter's, here they come.
Well, you were on the right track. So you were on the right track. You can't be mad at the Peacocks. Speaking of the Peacocks,
yeah, at least they got Kentucky out of there, so I was happy about that.
That's right. Moving on to the odds to win the NCAA men's tournament here. And if you think about, hey, a 15 seed winning the NCAA tournament, well, by the way, no team seated lower than 9th has ever won the NCAA championship. Okay, so just keep that in mind when you're going on a limb. But hey, maybe a flyer. You can say you bet it if you want. St. Peter's is still, I think there was something along the lines of 1,000 to 1 when the tournament started, maybe even higher than that. They're at 200 to 1 to win this tournament. So if you're a Peacocks fan, or if you just want to root for the underdog, you can go plop $10 down on St. Peter's to win the tournament, and it will net you a cool $2,000. Hey, maybe not. I don't know. Iowa State, that might not be a bad bargain. Again, 11 seed, they'd have to do something that no one's ever done, and that is to win lower than a 9 seed. Villanova did back in 1985. They are 100 to 1. Miami, Miami also may be a bargain because if you think about it, Miami's got a good chance to go to the Elite Eight. They're facing Iowa State. So one of those teams, or maybe you put $5 on both of them, and whoever wins, they got an Elite Eight. They only got to win 3 more games, right?
Yeah, definitely some bargains there. I'd personally rather Miami. I think they've got a little better shot because I was initially dogging Iowa State. We were talking about LSU before the thing started. I was like, Iowa State, they're not going to do anything. But damn, they've really surprised me. But I feel like it's one of those deals as cool as it would be for like them and St. Peter's to keep going. It's probably not the best to throw a whole lot on either of them.
All right, well, I'm going to give you a chance to talk about 2 teams. I'm going to let you go first. Pick 2 teams off this list that you like, and there really are no bargains anymore. We told you last week that if you like certain teams, you needed to bet them last week because the odds were only going to go down. And all of these odds, except for, let's see, well, everybody's odds went down. Duke is pretty close to the same. Arizona, pretty close to the same. But everybody else's odds have gone down. Spencer, if somebody wants to go put a couple bucks on 2 teams that they think might win the NCAA tournament, who do you like on this list?
Oh, I'll go with the 2 teams that I've initially picked, Arizona and Purdue. Arizona's odds, Kansas's odds went down a lot more than Arizona's, probably because of the landscape of the Midwest being there's a lot of underdogs that advanced. So I could see why Kansas's odds shifted. But I still like Arizona, assuming they can get past Houston. Houston's a good squad, but they showed a lot of resiliency last night in overtime, and they're a good squad still. I believe in them. They're a team I like. Were my pick to win it all. And then Purdue, I feel like, is getting slept on a lot there. I'm not sure why their odds are not a little lower than 10-1. They're a team that, shoot, a Big Ten power. They're playing well right now with Jaden Ivey and those guys. And, they're the 1 seed's gone out of their region, Baylor. So I feel like Purdue would probably be, as far as value, probably my favorite, but still like Arizona.
All right, well, I made my second biggest future bet ever right before this tournament started, and I bet it on Gonzaga. I still think Gonzaga is the clear-cut favorite to win this tournament. I think even at 225, it's almost a bargain, but I think you missed the boat. Even if you like Gonzaga now, I think it's a little too late. It's probably, you're not going to win any money betting $10 on them, and I think your chance to get a bargain on them is passed. So that being said, the 2 teams that I like the most in this list, going in complete opposition to you there, Spencer, because I think Villanova I thought before the tournament they were really good. Villanova, to me, has the best chance of making it on that side of the bracket. I did not like what I saw last night of Arizona. I was never as high as you and Zach were on Arizona. Y'all been talking about Arizona for over a month now. I just don't see it. They really almost lost last night. They probably should have lost last night. They got a little lucky. They win in overtime. But I think Villanova is a great bargain at 12-1 because I think they have an excellent chance to run through. If they get to the Final Four, I really think they're going to beat anybody from the bottom side of the bracket, including Kansas. I don't like Kansas at all. I don't get Kansas's odds at all. That's way too high. I wouldn't touch Kansas with a stick. I wouldn't even bet them still at 9. If they were still plus 900, I wouldn't bet them. So Villanova is my number 1. My number 2 is if Gonzaga is going to lose before they get to the championship game, I think there's only one team that can beat them, and it's Texas Tech. Texas Tech scares me, and I want to put a little bit on them last night because I already had a future on Duke from the beginning of the season. But I don't like the way Duke's playing right now. I think Texas Tech's going to beat Duke. And Texas Tech, to me, they have a chance to win this whole thing. Realistic chance. They are playing really good basketball. They have been for a little while now. And I was scared of them going into the tournament. I'm just as scared of them going now, which leads me into the schedule for the week. We're going to talk, and again, we're going to only spend a couple minutes on each of these. But going into Thursday's schedule, give me one game that interests you, Spencer. I'm going to tell you right now, my number 1 game is Texas Tech. I find it interesting they're only a 1-point favorite over Duke. I love the Red Raiders this week.
Yeah, that one's definitely interesting, no doubt. Yeah, I've got the Red Raiders too. I think they're gonna get it done here. I had them in my initial bracket, so glad they're still going there. And shoot, this is tough for me because I think the Villanova Michigan matchup's interesting, but I'd have to go with Arizona Houston because as much as I like Arizona, I have to acknowledge how good Houston is. I mean, they blew Illinois out of the water, and I expected that. Illinois barely got by Chattanooga, and just I don't know, for a Big Ten team, it's not all that impressive. But Houston, I know they're AAC. That's probably why they got a low seed there at 5. But to me, they're a lot
and they
better.
haven't been playing that great either. They did lose to Memphis, but Memphis showed that Memphis
is quality. I mean, that's a good team there. Yeah, they hung with Gonzaga. So, I think the AAC is a somewhat underrated conference. SMU got snubbed from the tourney. They maybe could have made some noise as one of the first 4 in. But yeah, Houston there. I mean, it's only a 2-point spread, so Vegas is acknowledging how good they are against a 1 seed in Arizona. Definitely keep an eye on that.
Houston's the only underdog I actually like on this list. Uncle Big Nick, our golf expert, is weighing on basketball. Zags look like they have grown men playing. They got some grown men, all right. They got some 7-footers. And that dude, Timmy, can certainly play some basketball. All right, moving on to Friday's schedule. The other half of the Sweet 16. Give me the one that sticks out to you.
Yeah, I'll say UCLA, North Carolina, because North Carolina, they're really turning it up in March like they do a lot of times, and UCLA, another blue blood there, so that's going to be a good one for sure. I'd say the UCLA, I had them over Baylor in my initial bracket, so I'm thinking they could get it done, but I think this is a coin flip. They're both playing good basketball, and it wouldn't shock me if UNC gets it done, but I'm hoping UCLA for my bracket purposes.
Well, my lock of the weekend, my lock of the Sweet 16 anyway, is Providence covering against Kansas. I think Providence could win that game straight up. I would not be surprised at all if Providence wins that game straight up. I'm not sure why Kansas is that big of a favorite. Probably just because they're the number 1 seed. They're playing a team that people don't know that well. But give me Providence all day long. I may put something on the money line on that one. But I also agree. I think UCLA, North Carolina is going to be a really good game. And I got to be honest, I like the Tar Heels in that one. I have UCLA moving on in my bracket, so I hope I'm wrong. But I think the Tar Heels are the better team. They're playing as well as anyone right now, and they showed that against Baylor. So going to be an interesting Friday for sure. All right, we only got about 3 or 4 minutes left, so let's go through the rest of this quickly. I hate to shun the LSU Tigers here, but they did not play well against Jackson State. But neither did Ohio State didn't play well in their opening round game either. LSU, just like they were on Saturday, are a 4-point favorite at the PMAC tonight to move on to the Sweet 16 against Ohio State. Spencer, they're going to have to play better than they played, trailing Jackson State by 10 with 4 minutes to go, and somehow found a way to get hot and go on a 19-3 run and win the game.
Right. Yeah, I think they will. They got a strong senior class, and their 5 seniors be there last night at the PMAC. I think they'll be extra motivated to move on to the Sweet 16 there. I think they could cover that 4-point spread. It's a fair spread. I mean, Ohio State's a quality team. Their point guard is really good. It's going to be an interesting matchup between the 2 point guards there. It should be fun to watch, but I'm thinking LSU will pull through.
I agree. I think they'll find a way to win, and I think they'll play a lot better than they played on Saturday. Odds to win the NCAA tournament on the women's side. South Carolina, even more dominating in women's basketball, I think, than Gonzaga is in the men. I think I don't normally play plus 160 at this point, but kind of like Georgia in football that I bet them huge when they were plus 125. I think you're getting a bargain at plus 160. I really do. Someone was asking me last night what I thought their odds would be before I looked, and I said, minus 120 or so. When I looked and saw plus 160, I think that's worth a bet if you're willing to plop some money down on it. LSU, interestingly enough, still at plus 6,000, which means they're 60-1 to win the tournament. Hey, go put $10 down on that. You never know what Kim Mulkey and company can do. They'd have to go in a heater for sure, but you never know. And I like Louisville at plus 800 is my bargain bet.
For sure. Yeah, there's I mean South Carolina is the obvious go-to here. I had said Stanford a while back is maybe a potential one to throw a little bit on. But yeah, I'd say it's probably South Carolina, and then LSU at those odds. Shoot, why not?
Why not? Indeed. All right, let's move on to the New Orleans Pelicans, and we see what they have the rest of the March. I got to be honest. I mean, they just completely destroyed San Antonio a couple nights ago, and then last night beating up on the Hawks. They still don't have Brandon Ingram back. We're hearing reports now. It's no surprise. I said this months ago, and I think I said it 2.5. I think I said it around Christmas time. Zion Williamson's not coming back. Forget about Zion Williamson, but that, and to me, is almost it helps the Pelicans. I know it sounds weird, but they play better knowing that they don't have to worry about that circus. When Brandon Ingram comes back, you give me Brandon Ingram back, and they get in that playing game, which I think now they'd have to almost flub it up not to get in the playing game. Spencer, they're now tied with the Lakers for the non-spot. And look, I mean, this schedule is not daunting coming up at all. They really need to just play 500 ball the rest of the way to get in the playing game. And Brandon Ingram comes back. I would not want to play them if I'm the 1 or the 2 seed.
Right. Yeah, they look good the past couple of days. It actually, picked them for best bets today as the top play. I mean, it's at 6-point underdogs against the Hornets, and the Hornets have been playing good lately too. But I think they've been scoring at a really high clip. I think the Pels could make them come back to earth tonight. I like the Pels a lot with that spread, and I think as far as their big picture outlook, they're definitely going to get that into that play in. They've showed they were clearly better than the Spurs there, and the Blazers aren't looking too good right now. So yeah, and then the Lakers, they're a clown show as we know. So yeah, so it's everything's looking good. They just gotta keep handling business though. Can't get too big headed after these last two. But I think with CJ McCollum guiding the ship, he's a veteran. He's been there before. He'll keep them in line to where they should be able to play. I think well above 500 the rest of the way and go into that with the play in with some momentum.
I don't necessarily love the Pels tonight. I think they're due for a letdown, and the Hornets are playing good basketball. But there's a boost on Caesars that I do like, and we're actually about to start doing a feature. I think it's going to start tomorrow, but we're going to give you our best odds boost play of the day that Caesars is offering. That you can check out. One odds boost they had earlier is they talked about CJ McCollum and Jonas both scoring over 19.5 points. I think the odds are plus 125 on that. So
yeah, I look pretty good. I might go play that.
Patrick reminds me that we never did the pro promo today. Let's do it right now. Your first bet insured up to $1,100. The promo. Use code NOLA CZR. So go to Caesars, download the app if you haven't done it already. You want to get it a little bet in. Anything you want. Any bet you make, you use this code, you get basically a free bet. If you bet $100 and you lose, you get a $100 free bet. If you bet $500 and you lose, you get a $500 free bet. Whatever your first bet is, if you bet a $2 bet and you lose, you get $2. You get a free $2 bet. That's something to get excited about. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, check it out, Caesars Sportsbook. They are the official odds partner of bet.nola.com, and we thank them for being our sponsor. It's going to be an interesting game, so I like the boost. And if you go, speaking of Caesars, they always have some interesting boosts. Like right now, I went on a little while ago, you got like 35 boosts you can go play, which means they give you better odds than whatever the odds are. Like say it would normally be plus 300 for a parlay for the Pels to win, and I'm just making it up, pick some favorite money line. If the normal odds are plus 300, a lot of times they'll have a boost, which will give you up to plus 400. You just need to go look different every day. It's worth checking out Caesars Sportsbook. And to be fair, a lot of the other books have similar. They all have different boosts, different promos. You might want to check them out as well. All right. Spencer, final thoughts here. going into the week. Jameis is signed, and we have a new basketball coach at LSU, it looks like. But your final thought can be on anything you want.
All right, yeah, I'll make it about NASCAR. Finally
Yeah, go ahead.
The winner yesterday. William Byron took home the checkered flag at the reconfigured Atlanta Motor Speedway, which is a really tough race to handicap because they had basically no data at the new track because they increased the banking to where it became like a super speedway as opposed to a traditional mile and a half. But I like William Byron. He has a good history at plate races. Super speedways. He's won at Daytona before, and he was due to win. It had been over a year since he had won, and he's always among the top contenders. I believe he was like 120 to 1 to win it. So that was our 120. They were all long shots because no one knew what they were going to do. I think it was 12 to 1 actually, but anyway, it still would have been a nice payoff if you put a little something on him.
Well, my final thought is I've already told you what I thought about Jameis Winston. So we're going to talk a lot about more again on Thursday at the book. We'll be talking more about it. And then Friday, I'm not sure my guest is going to be on Datitude, but plenty of talk coming up on the Saints. So I'm going to leave you with this. This has been so far every year we talk about March Madness and how crazy it is and Cinderellas. But I don't know that I've ever seen a opening round and a Saturday like I saw this year. And going into the tournament, we said that this is why I know that my Gonzaga pick is going to fail, because I said going into the tournament that there's more parity in NCAA basketball this year than maybe I've ever seen. And it's a phenomenal tournament to watch. If you're not a huge college basketball fan, but you like basketball, you need to watch this week, because I think it's going to be this way the rest of the tournament. We haven't had a ton of buzzer beaters, but we've had a ton of overtime games. We've had a ton of games coming down to the wire, no matter who you bet spread-wise. It has just been a lot of fun. I have not done great with my picking until yesterday. Of course, yesterday, the only thing I lost was my best bet. But everything else hit. So it has been a lot of fun. We're going to keep you up to date on the tournament. Uncle Big Nick's asking about golf match play. We will be talking about golf, and the match championships are this week. We're going to pick Uncle Big Nick's brain on that. He got a DraftKings. He finished number 1, Spencer, on Friday. He got a $4,000 prize, finished number 1. And then how
does he do it?
Then he finished 3rd on Saturday and got like $1,500. So the dude is on fire still. So we're gonna talk to Uncle Big Nick about golf as well. But that's gonna be about it for wrapping it up. We're excited Zach's coming back. I mean, I feel like a lot.
Oh yeah, welcome back, Zach. Yeah, we good to have him back.
He's been in Europe
for
3 weeks. All those brats and beers, man. He's gonna have jet lag and hangover. But we welcome him back, and we'll be happy to have him back. He will be running the show once again, although I believe I'm at Harrah's at the book this week. Zach will be back, and Spencer and Devin and myself and Zach will all be here and have a lot of fun. Until then, we'll see you on Thursday. Adios, everybody. I'm Jim Derry. He's Spencer, and behind the scenes, Patrick. We thank you for watching. We'll see you later in the week.